Nature, wildlife, and beautiful views like this one aren't hard to find in Jefferson County. Hi, I'm Keeney with JCTV. But there's a lot more around here than just nature. There's also a lot of history. So today we're going to take a look at a couple of landmarks around the county where you can enjoy the outdoors and learn a little something too. Our first site is tucked away in the woods, and it brings some people back to the good old days. Let's take a look at Sandy Creek Covered Bridge.
Sandy Creek Covered Bridge became a historic site in 1967 when all of the remaining covered bridges in Missouri were put on the National Register and acquired by the state. Sandy Creek Covered Bridge was built in 1872 as part of a project to connect Jefferson County, Hillsborough area to St. Louis County and St. Louis City. It is built along the old Lemay Ferry Road, and it is the only remaining bridge from that project. This bridge was built originally for approximately $2,000 in 1872. In 1886, it was destroyed by a flood. They took what remained of the bridge, rebuilt it at a cost of about $800, and so in 1886 it was rebuilt. It fell into very serious disrepair in the 1960s, 1970s, and once the state acquired the property, it was shut down to vehicle traffic in 1984, and it has been open to pedestrian traffic ever since that time. Many of the interior timbers are original. The large beams from the Howe truss system, which was developed in the early 1800s for covered bridges. The system has crossed large wooden beams with iron posts, iron bars to create tension, and that is what makes the bridge able to suspend over the creek. On top of the hill, which you cannot see at this time because it's so wooded, there was a toll keeper's house. There was a toll to cross the bridge, so it would cost you, say, 10 cents for a mule and 20 cents for a wagon and different things so you could cross the bridge. So the toll keeper lived here on site. That house was destroyed by fire back in the 1990s. The reason we create a covered bridge, a couple of reasons. Sometimes your animals have trouble crossing an open bridge. They see the open water and all that, and they're used to going into barns. So you have a barn-like appearance to the front of the bridge, and so that encourages these animals to go in. Another reason is protection. You have a simple, you're caught out here in a storm, and you can get some semblance of protection from that. And a third reason for why they would build a covered bridge is for stability. By having the roof and the sides, it just makes it all that more stable, so you have less flexing and the bridge won't collapse. One of the ideas that you get from the covered bridges is a feeling of nostalgia. You approach the covered bridge and you are transported back to the time in the 1800s if you're on a covered wagon, if you're going to market, because Hillsborough, being the county seat, would have been where most of the business was done. And so if you're traveling from Arnold to go to Hillsborough to pay your taxes, this is the bridge you would cross. And so you're traveling along, you're out for a family outing, you're going to have the whole family, you're going to have a picnic, you're going to go to the market, and you're going to get all your supplies for, say, the next month at Hillsborough. So you're traveling, and this is what you approach. Even through the 1940s, 50s, if you were driving, say, in the 1920s in a Model T Ford, people would still cross this bridge, and you'd be all rickety, and it'd clank, and, you would get that nostalgia. Just today, if you walk towards the bridge, you get that feeling of being transported back to the 1900s, early 1900s, the late 1800s, being on a wagon. If you can put yourself in that vision. What you see today is the current representation of Sandy Creek Covered Bridge. If you look at the bridge itself, if you go and cross, it's very disheartening to see what people have done to it. A lot of people have drawn and put graffiti on the bridge. We're trying to make it even more presentable. We've submitted for a grant. It will cost a total of $40,000, and we have to replace all the siding on the bridge because of the graffiti. And so if we can catch the people who are doing the graffiti, we would like to, but we can't. They do it late at night. 70,000 people a year visit Sandy Creek Covered Bridge State Historic Site. And so it is a very popular area for picnicking. We have a large picnic area. The entire site takes up about 225 acres. Hopefully in the next 5 years we will develop a nature trail so people can experience what else is here. We have several beautiful natural resources here on the site. You just can't get to them right now. And hopefully we can expand that in the near future.
If you'd like to learn more about Sandy Creek Covered Bridge, just visit the web address on your screen. Our next treasure of Jefferson County is a great place to hike or picnic, but it's also recognized around the world as a site of a major discovery. Here's a little more about Mastodon State Historic Site. Winding trails and colorful wildlife make Mastodon State Historic Site a great place to enjoy Missouri's natural beauty. But it offers much more than just a scenic getaway. Just off I-55 in Imperial, this is the home of several significant historical discoveries. It all started back in the 1800s, when locals noticed large bones scattered across the area.
There were so many, they were sticking out of the ground basically. People would find them all along here because this whole area was farmland, and they were finding them in the farmland. They were finding them sticking out of the ground. The first major excavation took place in 1839 by a man named Albert Koch. He actually had a small museum where the present-day arch stands today. He was kind of more of a showman. He wasn't really a professional in any manner, but he excavated here, and it's estimated that he took about 30 different skeletons from the grounds here, but he didn't keep records, so we don't know the exact amount.
The bones belong to the Mastodon, a prehistoric elephant-like animal, and now the park's namesake. The Mastodon bones were a major find in the mid-1800s, but the monumental history-changing discovery did not come until more than 100 years later.
It wasn't until 1979 when Dr. Russell Graham came and excavated the site here, where he made the discovery of the Mastodon and the Clovis point in contact, which made us world-renowned.
A Clovis point is a stone spearhead used by the Clovis, a prehistoric culture which lived about 14,000 years ago. The discovery of a Clovis spearhead next to a Mastodon bone was the first of its kind, and it helped shed new light on the culture.
What was the big deal about it was the Clovis had already been discovered in the western United States, but they had hunted mammoths. There was a site in New Mexico, that's how they got their name, Clovis, New Mexico. It was near where they found the first evidence of them. This was the very first one to prove that the Clovis hunted the mastodons as well as the mammoth. They had thought that it might have occurred, but it was, like I said, this was the very first place to undoubtedly prove it.
You can learn more about Mastodon State Historic Site by visiting its unique museum, highlighted by a full-sized replica of a mastodon skeleton.
Well, we're actually the only museum in Missouri that the whole museum is actually just solely dedicated to the Ice Age or the Pleistocene. So nowhere else in Missouri can you go in for a museum that's just Ice Age mammals. And we have the exhibits here displaying the bones from the fossils from the Ice Age, and you can come in and you'll learn about what it was like in this area during the Ice Age, because it's quite different than the environment we see today.
The site also offers a few other attractions.
We have the Wildflower Trail that will take you to the Kinswood Bone Bed, where you can see where the excavations took place. We have our museum annex, which just opened July of last year, which has additional exhibits as well. And it has, right now it's on karst topography, so springs and caves of Missouri, and there's actually an hands-on activity room for children that they can participate in an archaeological dig.
About 50,000 people a year visit the Mastodon Site Museum. If you'd like to add your name to that list or find out about the events going on there, just visit the website on your screen. Well, that will do it for this edition of Treasures of Jefferson County. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on JCTV.